Okay, good evening, Tri-Valley. It is 7:33 p.m. Will you please join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you for coming this evening. I would like to read portions of Board Policy 1230, Public Comment at Board Meetings. The Board of Education encourages public comment on school-related matters at board meetings as outlined in this policy. To allow for public comment, a period not to exceed 30 minutes shall be set aside during the first part of each board meeting for public comment, with priority given to comments on items on the meeting's agenda. A second 30-minute time period will be set aside at the end of each board meeting for public comment on matters pertaining to the district, but not on the agenda. These periods may be extended by a majority vote of the board. Persons wishing to address the board shall advise the board president prior to the scheduled starting time of the meeting. The request shall be made in writing on a form provided by the district and shall include the name of the speaker, the address, telephone number, and name of the organization represented, if any, and a brief description of the topic to be addressed. Presentation should be as brief as possible. No speaker will be permitted to speak longer than 5 minutes. The board will not permit in-public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Persons making presentations at board meetings will address remarks to the president and may direct questions or comments to the board members or other district officials only upon the approval of the president. If you would like to address the board tonight, the forms are on the table by the door. Please complete them and give them to the district clerk, Mrs. Pena. Also, as a reminder, guests to board meetings may wear masks if they so choose. Please observe all proper social distancing protocols. We do have a new speaker system now, which is quite lovely, so everybody can hear us in the audience. So we are asking, though, if you speak, if you can go to the podium so people at home can hear you. There's been reports that unless you're at the microphone, nobody can hear you at home. So next, items of correspondence. There are no items of correspondence. Public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. Norma, did anybody sign in for items on the agenda? All right, next we have presentation and guests. We have the Daniel Pierce Library Director. Welcome.
My name is Jen Thomas, and I am the director at the Daniel Pierce Library. I have been at the library since October 25th, so I've been here now officially 6 months, and I appreciate the opportunity to come tonight and introduce myself. One of the things that I did want to point out and say thanks again was to the district for helping us distribute our annual report to the community. That document allows us to provide the community with a snapshot of information of what happened at the library in 2021. We hope now that we are fully open and back to in-person programming that some of the numbers that you're going to see next year will be higher than what we've seen this year, like physical checkouts or number of program participants. I do want to point out one thing that has changed, and that's our library hours. We are now open at 9 a.m. every weekday, and we are going to close at noon on Saturday. So we've added a few more hours to what we are doing. Our goal at the library is to provide the best service that we can to residents of the Tri-Valley Central School District and to support reading and lifelong learning. And with that, we appreciate the opportunity to partner with the school. My second day on the job, I was here in the UPK classrooms with our children's program coordinator, Deirdre McHugh. It's a great program. We hope that will continue. We also hope that that will inspire future programming. We are certainly open to any new ideas, and I hope that you'll let me know if you have ideas, because we look forward to doing that. There's a lot that happens at the library with our programs. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So we're working on grants to get early literacy kits and help promote those and maybe help eliminate some of that summer slide that our youngest students experience. So if we're in the UPK classroom, we want to have a bridge to gap when we get done with that and move forward and continue with them. We also hope that we'll be working with older students as well. We were very pleased so far this year when we had a community program in February doing cards for seniors in a nursing home. We were approached by 6th grade teachers, and the 6th grade students participated with us in that. We hope that we'll see more of that in the future. Again, thank you, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have our senior class trip 2022 proposal, discussion, and possible action. Can you see?
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Deb Sweat, and this is Tanya Hugler, and we are the co-advisors for the senior class. And we're coming to you tonight to propose an exciting opportunity for our seniors. I'm going to start off by talking about how we've gotten to the point we're at now. So we polled the students. The students told us where they wanted to go. We talked about Williamsburg, Virginia, Virginia Beach, and New Jersey Shore. So we had that. Then we started looking at possible dates, which has been a nightmare, for a lack of a better word, trying to figure out a date that works, that doesn't interfere with a big track invitational or a Spanish trip or this trip or Regents exams or whatever. So we finally came down to a date that we could agree on. Then we decided we would look at the Williamsburg and Virginia Beach trip. Then we ran into the problem of transportation because we could not find any busing that would take us there. Along with, we couldn't find hotel rooms in the areas for that many people. So every step of the way we've gone through, we've hit a roadblock. We've gone to see Mr. Pulley a number of times to say this is our newest roadblock. So at this point, we do have a proposal that we'd like to share with you, and Tanya's going to go over that.
Good evening, thank you. So we will still continue to search for transportation to Virginia, but we've called about 8 different companies from Westchester to Albany to Pennsylvania. We can't find a coach bus to take us down to Virginia. So then I was on spring break, standing in line at Busch Gardens, and said, well, our flights down here weren't terribly priced. And with the cost that we were quoted from Rolling V originally, with one of the dates that didn't work, it's very comparable. So I said, what about Orlando? Because we could stay in a Universal partner hotel. We could fly down with JetBlue, which is a safe airline. The kids could do 2 days at the park. There's a shuttle from the airport to the hotel, and then there's Universal shuttles from the hotels to the parks. So we wouldn't have to worry so much about transportation while we're down there. And that's what we've come up with now, because I don't know what else to do. We can't find busing. The price for the trip is comparable to what it's been in the past for all of the kids. Our only major roadblock is that the kids couldn't do a lot of fundraising due to COVID for the last 2 years. So they did get a big fundraiser this year, which was the Gertrude Hawk chocolates, and they earned $50 per box towards the trip. And we kept a chart. So each student that sold, it's not like in a pot, gets more towards their trip. So we put together a tentative itinerary, thank you. And we talked to JetBlue. We were on the phone with them for over an hour trying to get flights. So the best bet was to fly out of Westchester Airport, believe it or not. But then to keep it affordable, we'd have to fly back into JFK, but at least we could take a school bus, there and back. So Thursday would be just a travel day. Friday would be in one of the parks. We polled the students to see what one out of the 3, what 2 they would like to go to. Again, trying to keep it affordable. The first night we were thinking like a pizza delivery for dinner. The second night, Publix offers like subs and chips and things like that to order in. And then we wanted to do one special night. So after the second park, go out to either the Chocolate Emporium, I think it's called, or Hard Rock Cafe. We have requests in for quotes for both of them for a group meal. And then Sunday would be flying back home. So that's where we are right now. We'll go back to the drawing board, but it's really messy right now, the drawing board.
And if I can, both Tanya and the seniors have worked, steadfast in trying to make this happen. You have to understand that we really, up until probably 4 weeks ago, we weren't sure if we'd be able to do a senior trip or not. So given all of those ramifications, if you will, we've been able to pull something together. Interestingly, the same amount that we would have had to pay for a bus is the same amount
You don't have to take the pilot.
This is true.
How many?
Yeah, for the bus driver.
How many seniors would attend this trip?
There are 31 that have said they want to attend.
Do you think the numbers are going to go up once they hear that the trip is potentially Florida?
So we did meet with the seniors and told them, here's our options. We haven't gotten board approval yet, but this is what we're looking at. And we polled them, would you go if it was Virginia? Would you go if it was Orlando? A majority, more said no to Virginia and yes to Orlando.
And we did do that we called an emergency meeting yesterday afternoon with seniors so that they could get that information. And we also held an 8 o'clock Google Meet last night so that people could get on. And we purposely chose 8 o'clock because we knew there were games going on, that people would be home in time for that. So we tried to reach out to seniors, all of that. And about 31 is about half of the class.
And we invited the parents too. We had some parents on last night as well. Just trying to keep the communication open because we know it's short notice and we don't want to make a hardship for anyone.
What is the max number of students that could participate? Would each trip have a max number? If we do something like Orlando, are we limiting that max number?
No, actually, it's probably easier to do Orlando because it'd be the flights. Like I have a certain amount reserved with JetBlue right now,
Okay.
but I have to put the deposit in probably by tomorrow or Thursday to hold that, just because it's so close to the actual trip. But I do have an email into JetBlue to say, can we increase, which I'm sure we can get more tickets.
And is there any numbers figured in from the districts, like a district contribution towards the trip? In the past, the district has always covered the motor coach. Do you have a number that you're working with?
If you remember, 2 years ago, from that point, I started putting monies into my secondary school budget to cover transportation. So it wasn't always coming back to the board and asking, for that. So we're able to, with the monies that I've, in essence, encumbered for the transportation in my budget, we're able to cover the cost of the transportation.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just think it's an exciting opportunity for the kids. I do have a senior student, but he would love that.
The seniors were excited yesterday when we met with them. And we had some seniors that came right away this morning to come put their deposit down.
I think we're all excited.
You're looking for additional monies from the board, or are you looking just for approval from the board at this point? Do you need additional funding?
Just approval.
It's all just the approval. Yeah. What a fantastic opportunity, to graduate and be able to go to Florida with your classmates. So it's wonderful. I guess we need a resolution too. So I don't think anybody has any other questions. Thank you for putting so much time and effort into finding an option that works for everybody. I mean, Williamsburg, Virginia Beach, Orlando. I mean, that's fantastic. All right. So I need a resolution, correct, to approve. Is it? Oh, it is here. Okay. So be it resolved, the board reviewed and approves the senior class trip 2022 as approved at the April 26, 2022 board meeting. We have a motion and a second. Aaron, motion. Second, Randy. Any discussion? All right, please proceed to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have the Sullivan County BOCES budget vote. Be it resolved, the board casts its vote to approve the BOCES administrative budget for 22-23 as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second?
Motion.
Motion Pat, second Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Next, we have Sullivan County BOCES board member vote. Be it resolved, the board cast its ballot for Kenneth Hilton, Sullivan West Central School District incumbent for a 3-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the sole supervisory district of Sullivan County at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 26, 2022. Need a motion and a second? Motion Keith, second Aaron. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Next, we have be it resolved the board casts its ballot for Mrs. Carol Park, Roscoe Central School District incumbent, for a 3-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the Sole Supervisory District of the County of Sullivan at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 26, 2022. I need a motion and a second. Motion Randy, second Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is also unanimous. Next, we have, be it resolved, the board casts its ballot for Mr. Keith Stryker, Tri-Valley Central School District, new, for a 3-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the Sole Supervisory District of the County of Sullivan at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 26, 2022. Need a motion and a second?
Motion.
Motion Pat, second Aaron. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Thank you, Keith, for stepping up to represent our district on the BOCES board. It's another huge commitment, and we appreciate your time that you're going to participate in that endeavor. All right, next. Items the board wants pulled from tonight's agenda? Sure.
The superintendent's report was really odd this time, the placement, so
All right.
I yielded the floor to
I
you,
believe
but
you.
now I want it back.
I believe you. All right. All right, Dr. Silver.
Okay, just a couple of things. First of all, it's my great pleasure and honor and to let the board know that April Kakos has been awarded Teaching Excellence Award from the Mid-Hudson School Study Council, only one of 12 in about almost 100 districts, I think, is represented by the council. So she will be. She'll receive her award on Thursday, May 12th at the North Rockland Central School District Fieldstone Auditorium. I'm hoping some board members and members of the community and school will attend. It's a great event. And congratulations, April. Well deserved. And the second thing I wanted to mention was the capital project, which is endless. So over the break, some things got done and some things did not. Among the things that did get done was all the wiring for the automatic door openers, both the elementary school entrance and the main entrance. The exterior doors at the elementary entrance are now all replaced with new doors. At the main entrance, the panels installed on the security booth. There's the door was put on. The vestibule outside still needs to be completed, but it's now a secure booth, because that area is locked off. You just come in the main doors, and it's fine. And then you can see the stanchion for the automatic doors planted right in the middle of the walkway. It's an excellent location. There's continuing issues around the chemistry room. We think they're almost done, but not quite. The fume hood was approved by an outside testing agency. Dan McAuliffe is still questioning whether it's working properly, so Thursday morning we're having the testing company come back and do the tests in front of Dan and make sure that we're all on the same page on how that's supposed to work. The goggles cabinet, a new one was installed, but the light broke. There wasn't one in the plan, so we don't even know why a new one was installed. So Jesse's going to install the old one, which is still operational, and we'll try to get the new one repaired. And then the eye wash station and an emergency shower were also installed. It works the way it's supposed to work. It's got a hot and cold water mixer below the floor. The problem is the distance the water has to go to get the hot water to get, just like when you turn on your kitchen sink, it takes a long time sometimes for the hot water to show up. That's true in the eye wash station as well. So there is hot water, but we wouldn't actually measure how long it takes for the hot water to get there. It may be a factor also of how frequently the system is flushed. So we're going to check all of that out. And at that point, we may actually be done only 6 months or so behind schedule. And other than that, we seem to be moving ahead with phase 2 pretty well. Bast Hatfield has assigned a new project manager to the project. I think Corey and Dave Phelps are much happier with him. Everything's moving ahead just the way it's supposed to move ahead. Everything's on schedule for work to start mid-May, actually, up in the home ec room. And that's all I have for the evening.
So regarding the chemistry classroom, is Corey going to be present here also with Dan when this testing takes place?
Corey will be here on Thursday morning as well.
Any questions?
Just a comment on the safety shower eye wash. Working in a laboratory, we need to have implemented routine flushes because you don't want, if you need to flush your eyes, you do not want to have water that's been stagnant for a week, a month. We do a weekly flush, but the same thing for the safety shower. So
Yeah.
that could go on somebody's radar and somebody's checklist. That would be
I think it's on
appropriate.
Jesse's, but I'll make sure.
Very good. Thank you.
The one thing that I will mention is that Dan mentioned that according to code, the drain from the eye wash station can't actually go into the floor drain because the code is concerned the backwash coming up and going up the tube and introducing bacteria. So there's like a 1-inch gap, which disturbs Dan, but that's actually according to code. And of course, on the second floor, you wouldn't expect if the sewer's backed up to actually make it to the second floor, but the code still requires that gap to be there. That's another sort of funny bit that shows up.
Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, the question in regards to the roof, was that addressed also? The leaking roof that was above the ag rooms?
Jesse's aware of that, and he actually gave me an answer that I can't remember, so I'll write to the board so you have the accurate information.
Is it
I can
still
make
leaking?
it up,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, Jesse knew where the leaks were, and I think he was preparing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Did you want to talk about?
Yeah. So we also, the board like to address the, what is it called? The comfort closet that is located in our secondary school. So would you like to at least outline what the process is and what the purpose is of the closet that is located upstairs?
I will actually yield the floor to Dave, because he lives this experience and knows it well, so I'll let him.
All right, thanks, Dave.
One of the things that, I want to make clear with all of our clubs, we do require that they have a service and a community orientation, that they're actually doing something that invests in our own community and gives back to help others. I will say that from the start of the GSA this past fall, there has been a false perception of the closet, which persists. Unfortunately, I think when our students presented on the GSA, they were beginning to talk about what service project they were going to be doing. And it may have been misinterpreted, and unfortunately has persisted to the point where people believe that we allow children to come in and change from one gender clothing to another gender clothing while they're here at school. That is not the purpose of the closet. The closet is a joint service project between our GSA and our FCCLA, or our home ec club. Okay. I also don't need to remind you that we are now over 50% of our students are economically disadvantaged and don't have the same material goods available to them as all students within the district. This community closet is a long-term service project for both clubs. It was never intended to only service gender or sexually different students. As a starting point, we are currently providing formal wear, gowns, and suits in preparation for the prom to be able to give students the opportunity to come in a nice gown and shoes and a suit if they choose. So that has been the primary function. I can tell you of at least 3 incredible stories of girls who came to tears about choosing a gown. We have one of our staff who have willingly done alterations. What I will say is, right now, we have our 2 advisors who are working with the students with the closet. So all of the appointments, and we call it the appointment at the boutique, are done individually with the student and either one of the 2 staff members. And they're able to go into the closet and to select and even try on, clothes for themselves. So our primary focus has been the prom, which you'll hear later is only a couple weeks away. So we also do have sneakers and other clothing. We have not gone out and asked people to contribute, but we have contributions continuing to pour in. We have a good array of clothing and shoes and sneakers for students. The other way that it has already been used is our nurses from both the elementary school and the secondary school. Should they have a student who needs a change of clothes and they don't have it in their closet, they contact either one of the advisors and we're able to provide clothing for that child. And just this week we had a young lady who had spilled liquid all over herself, and we were able to get her something to put on for the rest of the day. Back to the idea of service, okay? We have a physical closet, but it is really nothing new. Anytime we had a student who was in need of clothing, staff were always willing to contribute, whether it was a fire for a family. We do everything we can to help to support that family and those students. When I talked about service and community projects, we do see the closet, becoming a greater use and including, personal hygiene items that students may or may not have available to them. Our National Honor Society, each of them are doing service projects. We have a National Honor Society member who is raising money to purchase, hygiene products for the closet. Likewise, we have another who's raising money to purchase, hygiene products for a women's group at New Hope. So it's this idea of giving back to the community. I would like for the correct vision of what this closet is to be able to go forth. I will share with you that it's very sad that it has impacted our students negatively because there has been a negative connotation put onto something which we have only tried to help and to support our other students. So I thank you.
The board toured the closet prior to the meeting. That's why we were a little late today. We wanted to see with our own eyes where this closet was, what was in the closet, how our students access the information on how to get appointments for prom dresses or attire. It is, I think the purpose of this closet is just as Dave has described. It was important for the board to have the community hear it directly from our administration as to what the benefits are of this closet and how it affects our community, where he has stated 50% of our student population is economically disadvantaged. So, I mean, we should be mindful of the positive aspects that this closet brings, especially with prom in a couple of weeks. Not easy or cheap to send your child to prom. So it's wonderful that we do have the opportunity to have some of our students tap into that resource. If any other board members have anything else to say, I want to thank you, Dave. There is positive related to this closet, and it is important that the community hear that.
And I want to be very clear, it was never intended to only serve a select population within our school. And that's the saddest thing that's come out of this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, I'm going to ask if there are any items that the board wishes pulled from tonight's agenda. No? Okay. Need a motion and a second? Motion Rose, second Aaron. Any further discussion? If not, please proceed to vote. All right, so with that, I think we have Ms. Doyle with us today. Congratulations on your appointment this evening. I don't think we have anybody else here. All right, next. Board committee reports. We have several policies for second reading and adoption. First is policy number 5420. Be it resolved, the board reviewed and adopts policy 5420, student health services, second reading and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Any motion and a second? Motion Brent, second Aaron. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Thanks, Norma. Policy 8121.1, opioid overdose prevention, second reading and adoption. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 8121.1, opioid overdose prevention, second reading and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second? Motion Rose, second Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. It is unanimous. Next, policy 8121.1-R, regulation opioid overdose prevention. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 8121.1-R, regulation opioid overdose prevention, second reading and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second? Motion Rose, second Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Next, we have policy 8121.1-E1, Exhibit 1, Narcan nasal spray procedure. The board reviews and adopts policy 8121.1-E1, Exhibit 1, Narcan nasal spray procedure, second reading and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second? Motion Aaron, second Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Next, we have policy 8121.1-E2, Exhibit 2, Narcan nasal spray, non-patient specific order. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 8121.1-E2, Exhibit 2, Narcan nasal spray, non-patient specific order, second reading and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second? Motion Aaron, second Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. It is unanimous. Next, policy 8121.1-E3, Exhibit 3, letter of notification to parents, guardians of opioid overdose prevention program, second reading. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy number 8121.1-E3, Exhibit 3, letter of notification to parents, guardians of opioid overdose prevention program, second reading and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second? Motion Aaron, second Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. It is unanimous. The policy committee plans on meeting again soon, I believe, right?
Yes, Dr. Stover's going to speak to Beth about a couple of things, so we'll set up a date as soon as we know when he can
Sounds good.
Okay.
get in contact.
Next, old business. There are no items under old business. We're now to public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. We have Justine Scully following up for teacher social media policy for the status.
Yes.
Can you sorry.
So a few weeks, I guess it was a couple months ago now, I requested that the board draft a policy on teachers and their social media sites and conduct on those sites, content that they put on. So I just wanted to see where you were at with writing that. I think Aaron and Joe were on that. And
On the
Dr. Silver.
It's one of the things I need to talk to Beth Ross about. It's on the list for next week or the week after.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful.
I haven't forgotten completely, just partially.
Oh, okay. Not completely then. Okay, thank you. So I'll be on the lookout for that.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks, Justine. Did anybody else sign in, Norma? No. All right. Next, we have announcements, reminders, upcoming events. So, Mr. Pulley.
Continuing on our busy ending of the school year. But first of all, I'd like to thank each of you for supporting our students and our seniors and in approving the trip this evening. Our FBLA students today left for Rochester for state competition. It's exciting to be able to talk about these things again. I gave a little preview of capstone projects. It's exciting for me. Because I'll sit with students and, it's almost a mentoring session with them about where they're at with their projects and how I can help to support them. And between Matt Haynes and Tyler Eckhoff, they have done a phenomenal job. Thursday, State Senator Martucci will be visiting the building, and they'll be greeted by our ambassador group and given a tour of the building. And then he will be presenting to the civics and social justice class on that day. So when we look back over it, it's really amazing what has happened in the exposure that our students have had. And we do have another school coming in May who wants to, see how we're doing our civics projects. So that's very exciting. May 2nd seems like it ought to be way far off, but that is our Senior Declaration Day, where seniors, based on their plans for post-graduation, can wear the appropriate attire to loudly proclaim, their goals for themselves. May 10th, we're getting back to doing a 7th and 8th grade workshop day. We're working jointly with Bethel Woods and having Soul Inspired, which is a resident music and dance group who will be coming and doing an assembly for our students, and then some workshops in the afternoon. And if you remember a couple years ago, we will try to get community members in to share either their occupation or personal interest, things that they're involved in. So that's very exciting. We'll also, on that same day, do the awards for 7th and 8th grade in the morning. And then lastly, May 14th, we are having a prom. It is at the Cartwright. Kids are very excited. And I just have to share with you one senior who said, it really wasn't until competition night that I really began to believe that I was a senior. And I'm looking forward to graduation. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a couple of things I want to mention. And one is that we're in the process of planning for our summer program. And we have a good amount of interest from teachers. And one of our biggest challenges will probably be space. But, we'll work with it. We'll figure out where to put the students. And of course, we have to determine a lot of things related to that. So we're in the pretty early stages with that. And also want to let you know regarding our pre-K program, that program is largely grant funded, and we have to do a quality assurance review annually. And sometimes we do what they call a desk audit, and we just sort of send in our paperwork. But we're going to have a visit this year. It's the first time we've had a visit now 3 years. So the state representative will be visiting all the classrooms and meeting with Jen and I and Dr. Silver, and then he'll ask Bob about the money and all of that. So that's coming up. That's May 10th too, so it's going to be a busy day.
Good evening, everyone. As far as the elementary school is concerned, we are going ahead and finalizing all of our career day plans. Our school counselors have been working very hard on making all of the arrangements and making contacts to be able to have our first of very many to come career days where we're going to be able to start to set the pathway for when one day these children become seniors and make their declaration. So we won't go as far as a declaration this time, but we will be going ahead and exposing them to the multiple opportunities that they have to look forward to as they continue to grow and learn. This coming weekend, our PTO will be having their Someone Special Dance. That's going to be taking place on Friday and Saturday. So if you have not been invited by any of your potential family members or dates for this evening, you can certainly feel free to drive by. It's going to be adorable to watch some of the children going into the firehouse for the event. And I won't spoil all of the surprises, but we certainly have a lot of upcoming events. As Dave said, it was not until recently that we were able to decide that we could restore all of our activities again. So we decided to cram them all in the last 41 days of school. So we have a very full itinerary and an agenda that is certainly going to keep us all very busy, but between our in-house field trips and visits to the Ashokan Center, the Baseball Hall of Fame, and of course our 6th grade field trip to Frost Valley, which is Tri-Valley tradition. We're going to be plugging in a whole lot of other things in between there as well. So we do have, though, our academics that will be continuing throughout, but we all know that that social emotional component and their ability to be able to interact with each other on these kinds of terms is also a valuable piece of the elementary experience for our students. So I thank you for tonight, and we'll be keeping you updated as we move along.
Thank you.
Just wanted to give the board and the community a quick update on some of what's happening cybersecurity-wise in the world at large that really affects us here at the school. So in 2022, we've been seeing a large increase in what are called zero-day flaws, which is really where the bad guys discover a security flaw in products before the company that produces the product does themselves, which means that the bad guys are exploiting that and using that to get into networks and things like that. So once a zero-day flaw is announced and a patch is out for it, obviously those of us whose job it is to protect networks, it is very important that we get those patches out very, very quickly. So the fact that there have been so many in 2022 has really kept us very busy behind the scenes. There have been multiple Windows zero-day flaws. Dell had a major flaw that we had to patch on all of our PCs, multiple in Chrome. Apple's had one 3 out of the 4 months this year. And just beyond those big name products that we all know that we use, just to give an idea of the scope of what we use here at the school, just this week alone, there are 300 distinct education apps that have been used by teachers and students just this week alone. So all of those products we have to kind of keep an eye on and be aware whenever there are security flaws or updates. So coming out of that, I just wanted to give a bit of word of advice to everyone on the board and in the community. Any devices that you have, keep them updated, whether it's your cell phone, your home PC, anything like that. Whenever there are updates available for those, make sure that those are applied on your device. In related news, I will be posting a survey online this week that will offer a session for the community to find out how many people in the community are interested, and present a cybersecurity and identity theft protection information session for those that are interested. And we'll either hold that down here in the lower library or up in the theater, depending on how many people from the community are interested in attending. So that's it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give you an update on some of the things we're working on in the PPS department. And one of them this year is a big focus on providing support for transition for our students as they look at post-secondary options after high school. So we've been working with the Smart Staffing Group. It's a pre-ETS program, which is a 5-year grant initiated from Access VR and New York State Department of Education. They have come in and provided a 2-day workshop for our students to support them with job exploration counseling, workplace readiness, self-advocacy skills, and counseling on post-secondary opportunities. Myself and Ms. Hugler, I would like to point out, is working very hard. She is, not me, on this, on her work-based learning certification so that we can provide CDOS opportunities right here from Tri-Valley. So we're working to really expand our options for students and their graduation pathways, and also provide as much support as we can as they transition into post-secondary life. So I'd like to thank Tanya for really putting a lot of effort into this. And she actually has to get a second job this summer, so she's really looking forward to that.
Thanks, Tanya. Are there any other announcements? So locally, the community we have an exciting weekend coming up next weekend. May 6th and 7th is the 50th anniversary of our Little League. And that group of volunteers they've been working tirelessly for probably almost 2 years now planning this event. So next Friday, I believe there's some kind of movie on an inflatable screen, weather permitting. And then Saturday all day, I think they have bands playing, their concession stands going, and the kids will be playing baseball, softball all day long. So if you have a chance, Never Sink Fields, it's a wonderful opportunity for our community to get back involved with COVID restrictions being lifted. And the other board announcement, just as a reminder, is on May 3rd, which is next Tuesday. At that board meeting, any candidate that's seeking a board seat, you have the opportunity to address the community at that meeting and give us a little bit of information as to why you're running for the seat. And there's also the budget hearing as well that night. So I think it's expected to be here 6 o'clock. And that's, I think, all the announcements that we have. It's at 6 o'clock exact, 7 o'clock budget hearing. Right. 7 o'clock. You can come at 6 if you want.
I will.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but 7 o'clock. I don't think there are any other local announcements or community announcements. Before then, new business, no items under new business. At this point, there is no need to go into an executive session, so I need a motion and a second to adjourn. Pat, Randy, no discussion. It's 8:23 p.m. Thank you. Be well. Have a nice evening.